Hi everyone, I'm Donna from Ideas to I Did It. Today we are going to be building this beautiful plant shelf. You can see it's the one I'm sure you've seen before. It's all over the internet. It is beautiful and very practical for plants or books or knickknacks, whatever you'd like. And today we're going to show you how to make this yourself. It's quite an easy project and it's quite inexpensive to build, and it would also sell really, really well. So please join us and we'll show you step by step how it's all done.
We need two 8-foot lengths of 1x6s.
Okay.
So, ta-da. And we need two 1x4x6s.
Okay.
So 6-foot length of 1x4s.
Okay.
And we're gonna need some glue.
Okay.
And you can choose what type of saw you'd like to use to saw the notches.
Okay. And we went with what kind of wood? Pine?
Just knotty pine, yeah.
Yeah, we chose the knotty pine. It'll mean a bit more standing, but we're okay with that. So that's it. We're ready to get going then?
Yep.
Perfect.
And this is the 8-foot board, which we're essentially going to cut in half. So we need 4 30-inch vertical pieces. Can you hold that?
I can, yeah.
Make sure that's 30 inches. Yep.
And so these are being cut out of the 1x4.
Yep.
And we got an 8-foot length.
Yep. And another little bit.
Yeah, and we have some scraps that we can use for the other one. Okay, so we'll just keep going till we have 4.
So now we've got our 4 pieces of 30-inch 1x4s cut, and our 3 pieces of 4 feet 1x6s cut.
And so is that everything we need for the shelf?
Yes, it
Perfect.
is. All right, so now we're going to mark out where the notches go on the shelves. So we're going to have 6 on each end for the overhang, and then 3 12-inch spaces in the middle, because there's going to be 4 vertical pieces. So we're going to go 6 inches from one end and put a notch, or that's where a notch is going to go. We're going to put a thing there. And then 12 inches from there, which is going to be at 18 inches. And then 12 inches from there is going to be 30 inches.
And so you're marking the lines that you'll then go back and do the notches
Yep.
on either side of.
And then 12 inches from there, which is going to be 42 inches.
And so do you do this on all the shelves?
Yep. And then whatever's left over from 42 to 48, that's the additional 6 inches on the other side.
Perfect. So he'll just go ahead and mark all the shelves. And now he's just drawing his line out using a square. And so you can see he's got...
So vertical piece, vertical piece, vertical piece, vertical piece.
And he'll do that on the rest of the shelves. Whenever you're ready.
Okay. So because these lines are at the center point of this vertical piece, we have to account for the width. So what I've done is I'm going to draw a line on either side of this center line that goes out half the width of this with just, it works out to be 3/8 of an inch on either side. So I used a ruler and I put a tick at 3/8 of an inch on either side of this center line. And then I'll draw vertical lines going down, and that'll be basically the width of my board going down.
Right, and just for context, this is what it'll be. With the spines going through all the shelves. So he's marking 3/8 of an inch?
3/8 of an inch off, because the whole thing wide is 3/4 of an inch. So half of that is 3/8. And so we go 3/8 to the right of the center line and 3/8 to the left of the center line. So that our full width going down the center of this center line I made is 3/4 of an inch.
Yes, so we're basically making a channel for the uprights to go in. And so he's just marking along each of the lines, 3/8 on each side, and then he'll use a square to draw the straight lines.
Okay. Now I'm not drawing the lines right across the other side because I know I'm only going to go in a few inches, and we'll explain that a little bit later.
And he'll also do this on all of the shelves, all 3 of them.
Okay, I'm going to measure in this channel about 2 inches in and put a tick, and then I'm going to do that across the whole thing.
And that'll be the depth of the
channel
the
thing.
channel that you're making. And so here you're just connecting all the lines that you made at 2 inches with a long ruler to make sure they're all straight.
There, so basically we're going to cut out this little notch, that whole square, or rectangle.
And that's where the uprights will go for the shelves.
Okay, now we're doing the vertical pieces, which is the same thing. We're cutting out a notch, except the
Measurements.
the measurements, the length of each section is a little bit different. So we're starting from one end and going in 3 inches. Then we're going 12 inches to the next, and then 12 inches to the next, and then the last 3 inches. And this top and bottom 3 inches will be kind of like the overhang, the vertical overhang from the top and the bottom. And then a shelf will come out here, a shelf will come out here, and a shelf will come out here.
Okay.
So these actually work out to be 3 inches, and then mark at 15 inches, and then mark at 27 inches. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do the 3/8 of an inch on either side of the line, and then I'll explain what we did in the previous one. This time, I marked my line the depth of the notch in at 1.5 inches. That's because over here, I marked it at 2 inches on the shelf, and 1.5 inches on the vertical piece makes 3.5 inches, which is the width of this vertical board. So when they're put together and the shelf is slid in, it should be flush with the back.
Okay.
So we'll just work on those.
Okay, great. So he'll do that to all 4 of the uprights.
All right, so I have chosen to cut these out with a fine tooth handsaw, just to keep my lines nice and straight, because I made one of these before and I used a jigsaw and I had a bit of a time keeping the lines completely straight, and the blade kind of bent over to one side and it just wasn't great. So I'm going to try with this, which I think will end up nice and straight, I hope. And as I get close, because I'm cutting on an angle, as I get close to the end of my mark, the depth, I'm going to bring it vertical and not put too much pressure on, and then just bring it right down to the line, and there, I'm done. And do the other one.
You could also use a jigsaw though if you wanted, or a scroll saw would work too for this.
Yes. Or if you're really adventurous, a circular saw. Okay, so I've got 2 of the 3 cut out. Now to save time, I'm just going to try to chisel out the backside. I'm going to chisel out the backside of this middle one. So just grab yourself a chisel and a hammer. I've got a wooden mallet here because it's the closest thing I've got. And my chisel actually matches that perfectly, so that's awesome. So we'll just go right on the line.
So this is one that's already been cut. Oh, there it is.
Pop it right out, and then just chisel it down so it's flat. It's not too bad, really.
Okay, maybe let me get right in there and show them what the cut looks like. And then don't worry about the extra lines or any of that. That'll all get sanded off.
Yeah, these will be sanded really well.
And so this is the same technique that he's going to use on all of the notches. So you can see this project really is beginner friendly. So you can see there, it's a nice clean cut. And then that's where the other piece will...
The other notch will slide in there. See, it fits that board quite well.
Yep.
But there'll be a notch in the other board, which will bring them both back so it's flush like that.
Yep. Wonderful. Okay, so now he's just going to do the rest of them. Okay, so once you've got all your notches cut, this is what you'll have. So you've got the 3 shelves and then the 4 upright pieces, and we'll just show you how it all goes together just with a dry fit.
Before we sand it, you want to make sure everything fits. So I'm just going to lay them out, kind of.
So they're the uprights.
And then I'm going to see how well I've spaced these.
Okay, I'm going to just move over here. And Chris really likes to do things very precisely. So you can see these are a really nice tight fit. If yours had a bit of space here and there, it would not be the end of the world. And when you put it together, hon, you do put some glue in it as well?
Yeah, when it's time to put it together, after we've sanded everything, we put glue in it.
Wow.
In the joints here. To make everything nice and solid.
That's
now really, honestly,
yeah.
You can probably hang it the way it is.
So there you go. So that's the basics of the shelf.
You see how in the back they're all flush because the grooves we cut in were the right width.
Yeah, wow, it looks fantastic. And so now we will take the time to give it a really, really good sand. That's one of the things where we bought the knotty pine instead of the clear pine. You do have to spend a bit more time sanding, but we're okay with that. And the savings is well worth it. And then we'll stain it. We're going to do a nice golden oak color. And as you can see, we really like the character of the wood to shine through. So even like, for instance, here, there is a bit of a rough edge where you can see some of the bark and that sort of thing. We like that, and we'll sand that down and it'll be beautiful. And it'll add a lot of character to it. So this is where we are now. We're getting there. So just sanding and staining. So we'll show you the end result soon. Okay, and so now we're going to sand everything. And like I said, we bought the knotty pine knowing we were going to have to do a bit more sanding. So I like to use an Orbital Sander, and I'll start at probably a 60 or an 80 grit sandpaper and then work my way up to a 120, 180, depending on how rough the wood is. And so for this one, you can see there's a few grooves, a few marks. So we'll just start sanding and see where it goes. But I would expect to probably do 3 or 4 passes on this. So then we'll be able to move on to staining. Okay, so now we're going to stain the fully sanded pieces. So we've picked a golden oak color, and we like the old school oil-based stain. I feel it works the best. So I've already started. So basically there's lots of different ways to stain. This is how I like to do it. So I'm just going to use a cloth. This has been really well sanded, and you simply wipe it on with the cloth. Just going to let it soak in for just a minute. And I'm not going to fully stain inside of the channels that have been cut. I just don't want it to swell at all, but I will do the edges. And then you'll see, just do all the sides, easy. I know a lot of people find staining difficult. I really haven't. I think using the oil-based stain gives you a lot more freedom and time to be able to do what you want to do with it versus the water-based, but that's just what I like. So we've got the sides done, edges. See, it's pretty easy. You could also use a brush if you prefer. I just like using a rag and gloves to keep my hands clean. I'll just do the end cuts. They'll really absorb the stain well. And then I take a second rag and just wipe off all the excess. And that's it. Now we'll just let it dry. So this is the finished shelf in our living room. We have 2 in the house, one in our living room, one in the kitchen. We'll show you that one in a minute. I use it here for plants as well as some knickknacks. I think it's beautiful. It adds so much character to the room. We really like it, and it's really practical, and these sell really, really well. And this is the shelf that we have in our kitchen, and you can see I use it for my plants, and it looks fabulous, and it's really, really practical. So thanks so much for watching the video. We hope you really enjoyed it. We hope you will give it a try. And if you do, please let us know. Put it in the comments or put it on our Facebook and Instagram. We'd love to see it. And we hope that you can sell it and make some extra money for you and your family. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. Let us know. And there'll be lots more videos like this. This is fairly new to us, so hopefully the videos just keep getting better and better, but we have lots of ideas, lots of different ways to create stuff that you can sell to make some extra money. So we really hope you enjoyed it, and we hope that you will join us again, and please consider subscribing, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.